That thing's crazy. Oh my god, that thing is so fucking loud. What's going on, friends? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Today we're going to go ahead and install a blow-off valve, my 2019 Kawasaki Ninjha H2. I kind of already started. The first step was to get the tank off. And I was going to do this last night, but I ran into some problems. The problem is this thing, this big ass hose. Oh god damn, I just hit my fucking toe. Oh man, I'm tired. Before I knew it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. The block off plates will get installed here and on the other side, removing this air canister. All that stuff is fairly simple, but the problem I had last night when I decided to get started with this is this hose here. This hose is the boost return hose back to the supercharger. The only other instructional video out there on how to get this done involved installing an intercooler, which removes all of this. So it makes getting this hose out a lot easier, but I'm not doing that. So I'm freaking out yesterday on how the hell I'm gonna get this hose off without having to remove all of this, because there's a series of gaskets and all kinds of other stuff that need to get replaced. So I was really frustrated and I almost quit. But somebody on the H2 forum said that you can actually get to that hose from this side, removing the air intake, air filter housing, the back part of the housing that flushes up against the supercharger here, which is that red guy right there, and then all of that will actually pull the hose out, as long as it's already disconnected from up here. So I'm gonna give that a shot. I'm nervous. I'm extremely nervous about doing this, and I don't know why. Actually, you know what? I do know why. I'm gonna be going out of town soon, so if I can't get this working like within the next few hours or the next few days, it'll probably be sitting in a few pieces for a couple weeks until I get home. So I'm hoping that I can get this worked out and I don't have to wait until I get back in October to fix it. On the Ksix beer difficulty scale, I'm gonna say this is a 3 beer job, only because I'm super stressed out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, removing this side fairing, getting this air intake chamber off, the housing off, filter out of there, and then we'll go ahead and see what it looks like. I'll be back soon. Alright, so about 20 minutes has gone by. This fairing is off, left side fairing is disconnected, the air intake duct has been removed, the filter housing would be here, and that's the supercharger, which you guys have seen before in a previous video. So what I have to do now is get the rest of this housing off. There's a handful of bolts, as you can see, and then once that happens and I pull that housing, that should release that hose on the other side. Should. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, and that's what I'm kind of afraid of. Once I get it off, if everything works out right, then the connection where that hose is will get capped with this. My concern is the O-ring in here. I don't have a new one, and generally I would replace any gaskets. Like if it needs a new gasket, it's getting replaced, but I don't have one. The person that I spoke to online said that when they did theirs, the gasket was in great shape. They just looped it back up and put everything back on, and if that's the case, then I'm golden. But if that O-ring is trash, then we're stuck. I got all the hardware out of there, and now I'm gonna start just inching it out. I don't know if you can see, there's a hole right there. That hole is where that black hose is connected on the other side. So I'm gonna start inching that out, and hopefully I can pull the whole thing out of there. So here we go. Alright, things are going a little well. Sorry about the noise, I got the fan on in here. It's super hot today. I'm able to get this housing off. As you can see, it's no longer flush against the supercharger, but I'm running into a little problem. The hose has this, like, I don't know what you call this, like a chafing, it's like a abrasion cover, and I feel like it's getting snagged on stuff inside of there. So I'm trying to figure out what to do. I can't pull it out that way, and if I keep pulling towards me, it's just gonna rip on whatever's down there snagging it. So trying to be careful. I'm gonna work through that little problem, and then I should be able to keep going. This is actually not as bad as I originally expected so far, but we're still early in this project. So, all right, I'm gonna keep going. I'll be back. All right, I did it. Yes, it's off. You gotta be careful because that, like this, whatever this mesh stuff is, works kind of like a Chinese finger trap. Like the more you pull it, the tighter it gets on the hose. And it was getting snagged on here, so it took some finagling. Like once I had it enough where I can get a finger in there, I had to like push it down and then snake it out a little bit. Also, I had the bright idea to cut it just to loosen it up a little bit. And whatever this stuff is made out of, this woven fiber, like it started to flake off. So if you're gonna do that, which I think did make it the process a little bit easier, make sure you vacuum these little things up. I had my shop vac over here. Like every time a few would fall out onto the engine, I would just vacuum it up, because you don't want those getting sucked in anywhere they don't need to be, or missing it later on when you're trying to clean up. So now that this is off, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this clamp, remove the hose, put that cap back on there, and then go ahead and stick this housing back on. Ooh, let's check out this O-ring. Oh yes, the O-ring looks good. All right, I'm back again. I've got this capped with a hose clamp that it came with. And then I'm gonna go ahead and clean up this area a tiny little bit. It's not very dirty in there, as you can see, and it shouldn't be, but there is a little area right there. Let's see if I can point it out to you. Right there, where I've got to put a little bit of liquid gasket. I'm not 100% sure why, but the service manual does say that a dab of RTV needs to go right there. And that makes sense, considering that I see a little bit of black RTV right there, and it's not very much. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up that surface, go ahead and clean up the housing, make sure that there's no residue, and then go ahead and stick this housing back into place. Man, I'm excited. Like this is gonna be done in no time. Nice. I can't believe this is working. The housing slid right back into place, exactly where it was supposed to go. I'm huge on torque specs and sequence order and all that good stuff, so I'm gonna go ahead and reference the shop manual just to make sure that I'm getting them all right. And then once that's in place, I can go ahead and put the filter back in, the top part of the housing, and then put the air intake, and then we can go ahead and get started putting the block off plates on, and the actual blow off valve itself. Holy cow, I can't believe this is going easy. This is not that bad. Yeah, so I'll be right back. All right, I did it. Yay! That hose has been removed. It's capped on the back of the supercharger housing. Everything is back on, as you can see. So yay, I think the hard part is over. With the emissions canister gone, it's easier to see a lot of things that are going on down here. This is the bracket that it was sitting in. I'm not sure where the mounts or the other bolt holding this in place are, but I'm sure I'll get to it in a little bit. But the thing we're most concerned about here is the air switching valve. So this is the center of it. You can see one end of it here, and then the other end. Where the hell's the other end? Actually, I can't see the other end. But no worries. What we're going to do is we're going to end up taking that out, and then the purge valve. We're going to reroute some hoses from the purge valve here. One is going to go to the new blow-off valve, and the other two, this one's going to get completely disconnected, and then the third one is the one that runs here. I guess that's called the plenum. This is going to get taken out and plugged. So that's what I'm going to work on now, and then hopefully I can see where the other end of this is mounted, so I can get rid of it. A quick update: I was able to get the air switching hoses and valve removed, and I got one of the block off plates installed. Son of a bitch, that was hard. Like, that was harder than than plugging that hose. It's just there's so much stuff back here. Even with removing things, there's just not a whole lot of room. I got this side installed, and I'm gonna go ahead and do this side, and then we'll start routing all the hoses to the blow off valve. All right, so during the last update I gave you, I had just put on that block off plate. I've got that one undone, but I haven't put the new one on yet because both of these valves are connected to a like a little mount that goes right to that. That's going to go right onto the block off plate. The one with the black is the purging valve, and the one next to it with the blue is the air switching valve. And right here is the stock blow off. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the stock blow off, put the new one on, and then we'll start routing the cables and hoses the way they're supposed to go. And that fucker right there in the corner, right here, that one right there, where that bolt is, or where the bolt was, that one is 2 beers all by itself. Fuck that thing. All right, there it is, the new blow off valve, sitting in place. It uses the same mounting hardware, but it does come with a new gasket, and that's sitting in there. So what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and start routing some of the hoses. All right, so this hose right here, that one right there, that is going to go to the top of the new blow off valve here. And then this purging valve has 2 other hoses. One of them goes to the old blow off valve, and then the last one goes here to the plenum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. I'm going to plug this with one of the old pieces of one of the old screws that was holding the canister in place with some thread sealant. That was the recommendation by Turbo 329. Yeah, and then we'll go from there. Last time I checked in, we just got the blow-off valve installed, and we're going to route some hoses. On top of the purging valve, if you remember, there was a hose there. That one came off and simply ran to the top of this blow-off valve. The hose clamp that was on the old one doesn't fit over there, and I didn't take it off. And I couldn't find anything else to use. I bought some wire, but the gauge was too thick and I just couldn't get it on it. So I'm just going to use this little zip tie. And then there was another hose, the one I believe on the bottom or the middle. That one ran to here. It was in that nipple. So I took that out. I used one of the pieces of hardware that was holding the O2 canister in place, put some thread sealant on there, closed it up so it's nice and tight, and that's good. So now we can just get rid of this old blow-off valve. Another thing I just did, I'm going to disconnect this air switching valve and just completely remove it since I don't need it anymore. There's 2 hoses. This was going to the O2 canister, and then this one runs all the way to the back of the throttle bodies. I guess it can get capped, so I'm going to use one of those screws, one of the same ones that was holding the canister in place. I'm just going to plug that hole and just slide it back in there. That was the recommendation of Turbo 329. If you haven't seen his video yet, go ahead and check it out. His was a really quick video, but he did a really good job of explaining exactly what to do. If you are doing this by yourself, maybe a combination of what he shows and what I show can help you get through it if you're a little nervous. So yeah, I'm gonna plug this, get rid of that. The purge valve is all set, so I'm gonna go ahead and just remove all these extra hoses, or maybe just put them in there somewhere so they're nice and neat. I haven't quite figured it out yet. And then just tighten this down and put that block off plate in place, and we should be good to go. Yeah, so I think I'm done. Since the last time I recorded, I tightened up the blow-off valve. That's now tight. This hose went to the top of the purge valve. That's, so that one goes here. The 2 hoses that are underneath, they don't go to anything anymore. I could remove them, but I decided just to kind of keep them in place. So I just used a wire tie to hold it down. And the one hose that was on there that ran up here, that's now plugged with some sealant. Over here was the air switching valve. That doesn't go to anything anymore, and the connection for it, that blue connection, I just put some electric tape on the end and then kind of shoved it neatly back in there. And then there was one hose that went to the bottom That one runs all the way back here to the throttle body, to this T right here. That doesn't go to anything anymore. So I plugged it again with a little bolt and a little bit of thread sealant, and that's just nicely tucked away. So I've just gone over this thing like 4 times to make sure everything is nice and tight and snugged and seated the way that it's supposed to. So at this point, I think I'm done. I think the blow-off valve has officially been installed and I am finished. The hardest part in this whole fucking thing was removing the air switching valve plates, those plates that are here. Especially that one in the back corner right there, or I guess you call it the front corner. That thing sucked. I hated that one the most. Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get this tank back on, and then we're going to ride this bitch. All right, moment of truth time. I was gonna test this out last night, but it was getting kind of late, and I didn't want to wake up my neighbors, so please no codes, please no codes. All right, so I definitely got a check engine code. Okay. Oh, I don't know what the problem is. All right, so I pulled back into the garage because I've got no power and check engine light. So fortunately, I got the tuning kit. I hooked up the log box to the little pigtail that's running to the ECU. Ran the diagnostic check, and there it is. Purge valve malfunction. So I cross-referenced purge valve just to make sure, because I'm positive that I connected everything right. This guy. Don't need any of the hoses. I just need the electrical connection. This little side cover has been taken off, and if you remember earlier, that is the boost valve, and this little guy right here is the one that I put electrical tape on and stashed. So that's where that purge valve needs to get reapplied. Yep, see this little guy right here. I've got the purge valve put back in place, and this is the connector. Push it on. It's snapped in place. All right. Go ahead and turn the key on. To the computer, clear fault code. Oh, turn ignition off, then wait 10 seconds. Turn ignition on. Okay, turn ignition back on. Then press OK. Nope, and there it goes, disappeared. Alright, so let's run this diagnostic again, just to see if there's anything connected. I got nothing. Alright, let's start this thing up and see what happens. Woo! Damn, that hurt. Ow, fuck. I'm glad I didn't try this shit last night. But god damn. Look at that. Look at that blow-off valve being all sexy in there. Awesome. Well, thanks for sticking around. If you like this channel and you like this type of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, do all the things that YouTube requires of you to do to get notified whenever I upload new videos. And I'll see you next time.